Well, hello again. Welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. Paul Schrimpf back in the bunker with Eric, who's back in the bunker. How are you, Eric?
I am good, Paul. I must confess it's nice to be back indoors with a stationary camera in front of me, and also it's nice because today, I don't know what the weather's like for most of our friends around the country, but here in Ohio we got a mid 70s, a nice breeze blowing. It's a perfect late summer, early fall day as we're into September now. I can't believe it. Already 8 months through the year. Jeez.
Yep. Yeah, and a constant blaring of crickets outside and the breeze blowing, in Cleveland when it happens, probably other places too, but the winter chill is not too far behind. So we're all kind of bracing ourselves.
No, I know when I was mowing the lawn yesterday, there were an inordinate number of leaves coming off my linden tree. Already, that one tends to go bald earlier than most of the other trees. So it's beginning to drop them. So, yep, it's a coming. I'm going to be a raking many a day the next few months. So,
yep, absolutely. So neither of us went to Farm Progress. We're kind of watching the releases flow in from some of the companies. I think it seems a little light to me in terms of new releases, but certainly it sounds like a lot of people are there and farmers are enjoying their each other's company and walking through the booths. But I know with speaking of shows, MAGIE was a great success, and I think there's some online coverage now. Something you want to share there, or let them know where to find it?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things I wanted to share is, of course, one of the highlights of the show was a longtime president of the Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association, Jean Payne. Basically, she retired back in the spring, but because of COVID restrictions, didn't really get a good send-off. So she showed up at the event at the tailgate party and was honored by the folks at IFCA. And actually, they gave her the mic and she shared a little story about how when she originally started her tenure as president, she did not think it was going to last very long. So here's that clip.
So I was a brand new president, first woman to lead the organization, been on the job 6 months, and we decided to move from Danville to Bloomington for the first time. So a big move, thank you, Chris. Big move for the show. The day of this show, this day, Wednesday, it started raining about 10 a.m. And I'm not talking a little bit of rain. I'm talking buckets, torrential, cats and dogs, everyone's running for their life, okay? So I was actually in the Interstate Center with a guy doing a live line demo on electricity training, because we were doing some training. And I knew that there were power cords running down the middle of this building where everybody went to, because it's raining, we may as well buy a brat, get a sandwich, get out of the rain, and the water was up over people's ankles in this building, and there were power cords running up to the cashier. So I looked over at the electricity guy and I said, oh my God, what are we going to do? And he goes, Gene, you got to cut the power. So I made a phone call and we cut the power to the entire show. And I was the most hated person at the MAGIE show, right? Because the cashiers had to do math in their head, okay? And then the next day, we let no one die. My motto has always been, as long as no one dies, we had a good day at the MAGIE show. And that continues to today, at least let's go through this day. But then the next day at the ride and drive, we had to cancel the ride and drive because we were going to make ruts probably 6 feet deep, or flip a floater over or whatever. And so I had to go out to the ride and drive and tell all the guys who paid a lot of money to be here that they couldn't run the ride and drive, which is what MAGIE's all about. They couldn't do it Wednesday because it rained. And I was not a popular person. I went home that night, my parents were with me, and they can attest I cried my head off. I cried my eyes out, didn't my mom? I'm going to be fired. Everybody in the membership is going to say, who is this person that they hired? Get rid of her.
So there you have it, Paul. Jean Payne relating her first official act as the IFCA president, overseeing the wettest MAGIE that has ever taken place in the last 20 years, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, fortunately, she stuck it out and she didn't get fired and had quite a storied career in the state and did a lot of work nationally as well. So congratulations again, Jean. Glad you could be of service. Great to know you all these years, and hope to see you at some future event. So so that, as I said, there was a few things that have come out, especially on the technology side the last couple of weeks. The Semios Agworld announcement, Semios coming in and purchasing Agworld, and it's it's funny. Semios is a company that I started following many, relatively speaking, 16 and 17, when they were doing some amazing things with these traps and pheromone dispensers, and basically creating networks within a farm or within a producer's fields, with specialty crops, and would tie all these different sensors and information technology together. It was proven very effective, and the way they did it was with people being engaged, technology and information being shared. It's actually very profitable, and also, really delivered on what the farmers wanted. So it wasn't a super surprise to see the Agworld acquisition. They were getting financing. They were advancing and moving forward. So them being kind of a winner in the space was pretty impressive. But it's a significant change in terms of having a new player, and what they ultimately do with Agworld, how Agworld will evolve from that. Will they kind of combine the technologies moving forward? And it's been reported that Agworld has, or rather Semios has, greater aspirations for this in terms of the data space. So a lot going on there. It was really a fascinating development, something that we'll be watching very closely. The other thing that was, of course, it just happened, and it hasn't just happened, but it's been evolving all summer, is Raven and their OMNiDrive and OMNiPower technologies. The OMNiDrive being the former Smart Cart, and the OMNiPower being the former DOT company, the modular tractor for sprayers and other implements. All that's kind of coming to fruition. A lot of that's been demoed at Farm Progress. Is going to be demoed through farm shows through the end of the year. It's a lot farther along than I had thought in terms of establishing dealers, establishing training, getting these things up and running. They're starting smartly with the Smart Cart. It's going to be single combine combined with a single cart at first, to see how to get that all working, and eventually you see multiple combines, multiple carts being able to be controlled to get the technology developed. But it's looking very promising, and it's amazing that amazing to me that it's out in commercial right now. And we'll see if the case, the CNH relationship, kind of accelerates that as well. But it certainly hasn't held them back, and they're doing a lot of cool things. So congratulations to them, and we'll see how that rolls out in farm shows and how they end up doing in through the end of the year and into 22.
Yeah, and I will say, Paul, that Raven did have the OMNiPower, the spreader that they're working on with New Leader, going through the field at MAGIE. So I know that was creating a little bit of buzz. It was a little further back on the fairgrounds, so it was a little hard to find, but nonetheless, there were a lot of people talking about it. And so yes, I'm sure we'll be following this technology as we go forward. By the way, thank you for the segue. Speaking of Raven, I know earlier this year I was, actually a couple of videos ago, I was sharing some of the first half sales figures for some of our favorite companies in agriculture. And Raven was one of the ones I recently came across. According to the company, their first half sales were up 32%. So again, Raven having a good year. And as a side note, Syngenta also released some sales figures for the first half. Their sales were up 24%. So again, a lot of the major companies, Paul, that we know and love in agriculture are having a very good year here in 2021. So.
Excellent. So what else are we doing? Tell me this. Of the video, are we done?
No, we're not done. Since we're talking about numbers, it's time for your favorite segment, which we've skipped the last 2 weeks with special editions. Paul, time for Fun with Numbers.
I'm so happy this is back. I can't possibly express to you the way I feel.
Well, I have a monster number to hit you with this week. So hopefully that will in itself give you a little bit of a clue of what we're talking about.
National debt.
Well,
no, not that monstrous. No.
Your clue would be U.S. agriculture, and our number is, wait a minute, getting getting too much breeze here. I got the curtain blowing in my face.
Very professional. Nice job.
I'm sorry. Trying to hold it back, but this breeze is just too much. The number, since let's not waste too much time here. The number, Paul, is 173.5 billion. So again, U.S. agriculture, what would be your guess as to what that number would represent this week?
173.5 billion.
Big number.
That is a big number.
It's something we've talked about a lot over the last couple of videos.
Total corn and soybean acres. I don't know.
No, sorry. Buzzer this week, Paul. Buzzer. No, actually, that is the estimate according to USDA. That will be the value of U.S. ag exports for 2021, 173.5 billion, and that's a $4 billion improvement from 2020. And
right.
Now, before you ask your next question, is this sort of enjoyment of riches for ag retail expected can continue? And the short answer is yes. They're projecting that with that number, that next year, 2022, will even be better for ag exports from the U.S. to countries around the world. Next year, expecting $177.5 billion in value. So again, Paul, I know we've speculated on the appetite for U.S. crops around the world. Does not seem to be slowing down. It looks like it'll accelerate going into next year as well. Good news for our friends on the farm.
Righty, that's interesting. So room for another bumper crop.
Yeah.
Get that bumper crop this year from a lot of the areas we're expecting it.
Yeah, and I know driving around Illinois to the MAGIE show, the corn and soybean looked pretty nice. The only thing I did notice is, like I've noticed anywhere else I've been in the country the last few months, volunteer corn is a serious issue in a lot of the soybean fields. So I know that even in that part of Illinois I was in, central Illinois, they were talking about the derecho after effects that our friends in Iowa were mentioning. So yeah, there's just a lot of volunteer corn, but it doesn't seem to be hurting too much. The soybean in the field looks very, very nice. So.
Yeah, in general, did look good. We did notice some. I was driving to a friend's party in South Bend, Indiana, along 80, and got to see some of northern Indiana, what was going on there. And soybean fields will look good. The ones that didn't, my wife was like, "What is that poking up? Does that look like? That looks like corn. What's that doing there?" So
yeah. Yeah, I had to explain to one of our sales rep too about the whole concept of volunteer corn, why it's called volunteer corn. And when I was done, he said, "Yeah, it makes sense." So again, if there's a common weed this year in soybean fields, I'd have to say it'd be volunteer corn. So.
Yes, sir. All right, is that it? You gonna torture me? Anything else you got for me?
No, got nothing else to torture with, Paul. I wish I did, but I don't. So.
Thank you for that. Okay. And that's it for this edition of CropLife Retail Week. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you next week. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.